So Willa, can you give us a taste of Thea's character arc this season now that Malcolm has taken her under his wing, and will you be more physical this year?
I can tell you that I have been hitting the gym a little bit and may or may not have a personal trainer now. And Thea Queen, she is just definitely not the same girl that left Starling City at the end of Season 2. She comes back in Season 3 with a whole new perspective on life. And we get to see how that all comes together throughout the first couple episodes, which is really nice. But I can't really say too much because I will be killed by that guy next to me.
So Oliver Queen is broke, which is less exciting than when Oliver Queen is a billionaire, so I hope it doesn't stick around for very long. I'm not at odds with Ray Palmer at all. He's a good guy. You know, the fact that he's coming in and he's trying to take Queen Consolidated and maybe take Felicity doesn't mean that he's a villain. His interests don't necessarily have to add up with mine.
Do you guys get to do any location shooting this year in Hong Kong?
We were trying to get to Hong Kong, and I would imagine that we may get there eventually, but Vancouver does a very good job of looking like Hong Kong. I'm excited for Devin's character. We've only shot one scene very briefly, but she was great, and I'm interested to see. I want to see Katana. You know, that'll be really cool.
Malcolm is back with a vengeance, but he's going to be a little bit different in the sense that he's going to use his power and his manipulation, but to try to work people emotionally rather than, I think, physically. But we will still have a lot of the physical stuff. The relationship with Thea is going to be the most dysfunctional father-daughter relationship you're going to see on television. And you're going to be shocked and surprised at what happens. I hope that Oliver and Malcolm get to spar again. They get to have a run-in. It would be lovely, you know, if there was a big villain that shows up, another one, that Malcolm and Oliver and Thea and Roy have to work together to. That's John Barrowman talking. That's not in the script of the show, but I would love that as a fan.
Roy Harper is now Arsenal. They even changed it on the call sheet. And my new outfit is just the coolest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it's crazy. I have all these different weapons just strapped all over me. I mean, I have knives and, you know, batons and, you know, all these different things. And I get to use a lot of them this year, so that's really fun. It's not just a bow and arrow.
You haven't really had any scenes with Malcolm Merlyn yet, and I'm really curious to see how that's going to go once he comes back.
That is going to be, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of those this season. Because, you know, if you notice, every time he's talking to Thea, he's always mentioning Roy. And I think there's going to be a very interesting dynamic between the two, and they're not going to like each other.
What is the status of Diggle's relationship with Deadshot now? It seems almost like they almost like each other now.
I think, I wouldn't say like, hey. I wouldn't say like, but there's definitely respect. I think he sees Floyd Lawton as a guy, as a man. I think he looks at him eye to eye. And that has his own demons. He found out that he has a child, that he's, you know, Deadshot's a hired gun. He's an assassin. There's no excuse for that in Diggle's mind. But he's also a man who loves his daughter, sends whatever he earns as an employee back to his daughter. We found that out in one of the episodes last year, and it did something to Diggle.
Well, it's been a rough few months for Lance. You know, he's been beaten up. He's not as young as he used to be, and yeah, there may be one or two physical limitations. Age, I think, being one of the main reasons. Yeah, it's time for him to realise that he can't really be the player anymore. It's time to be the coach. You know. But that's not really Lance's cup of tea, you know. He likes to get out there on the streets with his people, you know, on the streets of Starling City. And now, time to sit behind a desk, paper pushing, politics. It's not really his bag, but really it's his only way back into the city. So, you know, he's got to do what he's got to do.
Basically, we're going to come back, you know, 5 months after the finale of Season 2, and things are very different in Starling City. In Starling City in the present day, things are great. Everything's coming up Arrow because, you know, crime is down. The Arrow's popular. He's coming off this huge victory where he saved the city, you know, from Slade at the end of Season 2. But as all things must go, things don't stay great forever. So we're starting on a high note, but getting to a very dark place very quickly. And what we're going to do is we're going to use all that drama to explore the theme of identity. not just with Oliver, who has basically two identities as Oliver Queen and the Arrow, but also the theme of identity for all of our other characters.
Lots of fun, action, adventure as always, a deepening of Oliver's character of all their characters. Every year I've always sort of thought that like the island was really Oliver getting stripped of his humanity and so he could survive. And he's always grown more and more in his humanity since his return, and we'll continue with that this year. Yes, he's low on funds, but relying on the help of his good friends. Thea does come back to town with an interesting development in her relationship, and he has his own vision for Starling City in terms of where he wants to take not just this company but the whole city, and that'll all become sort of part of the narrative this year.